Hello folks, Andy here. Welcome back to the boat build. Next thing we're doing on this boat today, starting to make the box that goes on the back that holds the Morse controller and the panel for the engine controls, etc. So this is what we got with the engine. There's two wiring looms already plug and play, and this rather nice looking control panel. So we've got temperature gauge, oil gauge, temperature gauge, battery, RPM meter, the buzzer, ignition. Right, so that's a nice stainless steel control panel. On the back, that's it. Everything plugs in these two, and then into the engine, they're already there. On the stern of the boat, I'm going to be building a cabinet like this, steel cabinet, that will hold that panel and other switches like tunnel light, horn, I don't know, maybe light switch or whatever. There'll be room for 4 or 5 switches in there anyway. At the bottom is going to be a vent, and that's going to vent the engine bay. And then I'm going to put the Morse controller in a box there, just mounted on the front, so it's a bit higher up. You don't want to be bending right down to use it. It'd be alright for some people, but I'm 5'12" and I don't like bending down. So that's what we're on with anyway. We'll get some steel cut out and get it made. Right, so I've got the sides marked out here. I'm just going to cut them out with the plasma. So we're trying to figure out where this goes now. It's going to go on the slant like that. So I think that position there is about right. I just took a template of this panel on the left where this is going against. It's got a slight curve on it at the top, as it radius on that side. So I've took template, and then I can cut it out of this steel here, and that'll be the top of this unit, and it follows the curve. so that's welded. All wants grinding off on these edges now, and make it all nice and flush, so there's no joints. Only weld you'll see what's up these seams here. And then we'll make a lid, I think, to go on top of it, cover it all up. So the dials are all covered up. We'll get it fettled up, missus. That's the cupboard made now. Cupboard cabinet. That's the cabinet made. What I'm also going to do is on the bottom here, is when they cut out here and they're grilling it, because underneath this I'm going to cut the steel away so the engine's got a vent, it's got some airflow out, so heat, you know, keep it a bit air in there. And we'll make a lid for it now so it comes over the top, and it can be fastened up, the controls then. And what I'm going to do is sort of put it on this side of the boat, as it's going on the bulkhead. I've tried it up there, it was taking up too much room. It's going to go on the bulkhead, and I'm going to make a slim. There's Jack up here making a noise. I mean, I won't press record this time. I'm always doing that. Forget press record. The next job is we're going to put this vent in here. So we'll have a frame that goes that size, and then we'll chop this out. And then we'll make a angle iron frame that sits in there, right to the corners, make it into a rectangular frame, and then we'll put angle iron in on the slope to make it a vent, so any water that comes on will run off. That's what we're going to do next, and that'll allow the engine bay, because that's so above the engine, you know, your heat's going to rise and whatever off it, so it'll allow airflow out, and you don't want it sealed up all the time, because if you do, you're going to get moisture in there, and you've got to have some airflow. So that's going above the engine, part of this unit. We'll cap it off inside so the air doesn't flow up and up to the electrics and everything. We'll plate it off inside. Easy peasy with a little plasma. Saves all that grinding, slitting disc and noise and dust everywhere, and speed or slowness of a cutting disc, speed of a plasma. So that's the components cut out.
inflatable banana, he's in. Cheers. We'll start in Glasgow on the MA.
So that's how that goes now. Sits in there. We'll get your fettle up, put a couple of weld preps on it, and I'll weld that into a frame. It'll come back out, and then with flat bar. Right, so they're tacked in now, so we made a vent. So we'll get some weld on them and it can go in. But I'm going to drill and tap it 4 corners, and we're going to tap the steelwork on there so we can screw this in. So I can get inside here. It's creeping up on me sometimes that I should stop and just reset. Honey, where would I even go? 'Cause I've been closing all the doors. I got stuck in the high tide. Gotta have faith in that. I'll never die. So that's the vent now for the engine, bay. It is just above, but just at the side of the engine, so that'll get some heat out and any moisture. But what I'm going to do in here is come along here with a plate all the way across, and then across there all the way up. So we'll cut the floor out in the back there, cut a rectangle out so it vents straight through, but then the air will just come into here and out of there and not all the way up there. Back of there, that area, we'll have the wires going down for the controls up here. So that's the idea. So we'll get some steel and fill that back in. So now what we've done is we've got a vent up here, like a chimney straight from the engine bay, and the wires, cable or whatever, that's got to go to the controls up here. They'll run down the back, because on the back there, on the floor, we'll just cut out an opening for that. And when this is in, about to get in there, and I'll actually seal around it all with some mastic. That's the idea. Right, we'll get some weld on that. So that's all sealed up now. So we'll just leave that as it is, and we'll knock this few snots off. Not bother grinding it up, it doesn't matter in there. So the next job is we get that back on the boat, mark the deck out at the back and cut this rectangle out through to the engine bay.